Daniel was astonished by what he saw.
The book of Daniel contains a series of visions, each reinforcing the other. The visions of Daniel 2, 7, and 8 tell the same story. The chapters repeat, amplify, and enlarge. This concept is explained concisely in Miller's Rules of Interpretation. Quote, "All the visions are one," close quote. Daniel, without a perfect understanding of the oracles of God, needed assistance. So, Gabriel the angel was sent on a mission to make these things clear for Daniel. The 11th chapter of Daniel is the account of this interaction between the angel and God's servant. Daniel chapter 11 mirrors Daniel chapter 8. All that is figurative, i.e., the visions of Daniel chapter 2, 7, and 8, is explained by that which is literal, Daniel chapter 11. If you have any doubts, even a cursory read of the entire chapter of Daniel 11 will make it evident that the subject matter is not symbolic, but literal. Therefore, we are bound to take everything in this chapter just as it reads. This is our first video in a series that takes us step by step and traces down the 45 verses of Daniel 11. We will address verses 1 and 2 in this segment. Also I, Gabriel, in the first year of Darius the Mede, even I, Gabriel, stood to confirm and to strengthen him, Daniel, and now will I, Gabriel, show thee, Daniel, the truth. In this passage, J.V. Himes tells us that the angel connects it with the vision in the 8th chapter. Daniel chapter 8 begins with the Persian Empire and then prophesies of a Greek takeover. Likewise, in Daniel chapter 11, it begins with a lineage of Persian kings and then subsequently the fall of the Persian Empire to the Greeks. History testifies that events unfolded this exact way. In the next episode, we will explore this in greater depth. All scripture language is to be taken literally, unless there exists some good reason for supposing it to be figurative, and all that is figurative is to be interpreted by that which is literal. And so, that is what we are studying here. Daniel 11 is the literal, concrete, objective realities, that is, actual kings, battles, councils, of which the symbols like the beast coming up out of the sea delineate in the previous chapters of Daniel. On this slide, we have some additional information. The first year of Darius spanned from 539 to 538. This is the Darius that threw Daniel into the lion's den, not to be confused with the latter Persian king, Darius, that issued the second decree to rebuild Jerusalem. Cyrus, who co-ruled with his uncle Darius, he also issued the first decree to rebuild Jerusalem, found in Ezra chapter 1. From him we count 3 subsequent kings mentioned in verse 2. And now will I, Gabriel, show thee, Daniel, the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, and the 4th shall be far richer than they all. And by his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Greece. The first was Cambyses. He was the son of Cyrus. The second king was Smerdis the impostor. The third king was Darius, who issued the second decree to rebuild Jerusalem. And the fourth was Xerxes, and he was the one that was far richer than they all, and he went to war with Greece. It was in fulfillment of this prophecy that Xerxes invaded Greece in 480 BC with the largest army ever known, when, in resisting it, the 300 Spartans under Leonidas immortalized themselves at Thermopylae. It was in preparation for this invasion of Greece that he gathered all the princes and governors of his empire to Susa, as recorded in Esther chapter 1, verses 3 through 9. The battles of Marathon and Thermopylae and Salamis and Plataea are the keys of history. The turning point of history from east to the west was in these four great battles. Xerxes, though he technically won at Thermopylae, lost thousands of his men. Historians will tell you how the Greeks overcame Xerxes' invasion. And while it is true that the Greeks were wise to wage war in the narrow pass where Xerxes' enormous army could be neutralized, an even better reason exists for why the Greeks won the war. And only the student of prophecy can tell you why that is. For God prophesied of the demise of the Persians at the hands of the Greeks, and nothing can stem the tide of God's will.